This video will cover how to overhaul the input shaft. It is a visual reference only. Access the current service information for the complete procedure. With the input shaft on a table, spline side down, remove the engaging ring and synchronizer ring. Carefully remove the detents and springs. The number of detents may vary depending on the transmission variant. Next, remove the engaging sleeve and rotate the input shaft so that the splines are now facing up. Remove the snap ring from the input shaft. If the snap ring is difficult to remove, it may be necessary to reseat the input shaft bearing in a press using a drift. Reinstall the engaging sleeve and place the input shaft spline side up in a suitable hydraulic press. Place the engaging ring on the bed plates to support the input shaft while pressing the bearing off. With assistance as needed, press the input shaft from the bearing and gear. Carefully remove the bearing and gear from the input shaft. Continue by removing the engaging ring and engaging sleeve, synchronizer ring, and needle bearings. Note the addition of a seal recess in the rear of the input shaft. Clean the input shaft assembly components, inspect for wear and damage, and replace as needed. In preparation for reassembly, lubricate the needle bearings with approved gear oil. Also, using a solid bed plate and spacer, install the input shaft in the hydraulic press. Spline side up. Install the needle bearings, engaging ring and synchronizing ring, gear, and input shaft bearing. Ensure that the engaging ring and synchronizer ring are oriented correctly prior to installation. Install the mandrel and press the bearing into place. Remove the input shaft from the hydraulic press and install spline side down in a soft-jawed vise. Install the seal using a soft-faced hammer and fully seat the seal using a punch. The seal should be installed with the part numbers facing up or towards the rear of the transmission when assembled. Install the engaging sleeve, ensuring that the beveled side is facing up or towards the rear of the transmission. Place the input shaft spline side up on a workbench. Use the snap ring gauge tool to measure the gap between the top of the inner bearing race and beveled edge of the input shaft. Use extra caution when measuring this gap, ensuring that the bottom of the tool is flush against the bearing surface and the body of the tool is parallel to the input shaft long axis. Note the gap measurement taken, which indicates the correct thickness of snap ring to install. Measure the snap ring before installation. Measure each shim before installation to make sure that it meets the specified thickness required. Using a suitable set of snap ring pliers, install the snap ring and ensure that it seats securely in the gap. There should be zero clearance between the snap ring, bearing, and input shaft. Then install the detents, springs, and engaging ring. Reinstall the input shaft assembly on the main shaft. Ensure that the engaging sleeve properly mates with the engaging ring. Next, reinstall the counter shaft, taking care that the gears mesh properly. Install the gear set lifting tools. With assistance, install the main and counter shafts into the transmission case. Use caution not to damage the oil pipe, oil pressure relief valve, or the tone rings.